my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. And let me just apologize for the fact that I don't have much planned for today. I really been running all morning. And it wasn't anything that would need filming, although I should have probably did a walkthrough of my shop after I cleaned it up. But that's what it is. I started at 7 a.m. cleaning up the workshop, because I know that Randy Rogers is going to be here, one of our viewers. Ranjarog is the way I always say it on his username, because I didn't know what it meant. But Randy Rogers is going to be here, and I think he's bringing a friend, and he's bringing 3 instruments. And the shop, I can't even use the word disaster. You'd have to put it in bold print. The shop was a disaster. I mean, like, there was literally not a place to set anything down. There was just stuff everywhere piled up, and the sawdust was that deep. So, I got it all cleaned up. It's in perfect shape. Kind of looks like it did on the videos whenever you would, see the videos there of the workbench. But it wasn't like that this morning. It was bad. And then, just the moment I got that finished, well, then just like a little kid at Christmas, UPS pulled in and brought me my toy. I've been wanting one of these toys for years, and I just couldn't justify the cost. I still can't, but at some point you just got to say, well, I'll be dead here before long, so I might as well just get it. And that's basically what I did. Although I did find a good deal. I bought one that was refurbished. What is the toy? Well, here you go. See this thing? Yeah, it's a rifle, but it's just an air rifle, believe it or not. Now, this is it's not the Cadillac, because there's better ones than this by far. But by comparison to, like, say, a DZ BB gun, or your Crossman air rifle, or a Benjamin air rifle, or whatever, as compared to that, this is pretty much a Cadillac. But like I said, there's so many much nicer than this one out there. But this is really cool. This is really cool. I'm already in love with the thing. I did not buy the scope with it. The scope I already had. This is actually my muzzle loading scope, believe it or not, that I had on my muzzle loader. And since I'm not using that anymore for reasons that I don't even want to talk about. But anyway, I'm not using my muzzle loader anymore. Mostly because I neglected to clean it one year and it pitted the barrel. That's really the main reason. But I thought, well, I'll just take the muzzleloader scope and put it on this then. I didn't buy a scope for it. So I got a pretty good deal. Some of you may not think this is a good deal. I think I paid $6.99 for it. But these things sell high, this type. This big chamber here, you have to have a special air compressor. Your regular auto air compressor, this thing would laugh at that auto air compressor, because they go, your average compressor, I'm just talking out of my head here because I don't know who's got what kind of compressor, but all the compressors I've ever owned, if you get up to 120 pounds, you got a lot of air pressure in there, 120 pounds. This ain't like that. This is 4,000 pounds. Can you imagine 4,000 PSI? I can't even imagine that if you've never dealt with air pressure. Now, air pressure is not forgiving. It's you either contain it or it'll tear you a new one, So I was a little bit leery of this, but it had a good rating and everything, and it does go up to 4,000 pounds, and I did have to buy an air compressor. The air compressor was about $200. So yeah, now I've got more in it, but your average one of these, you're going to spend well over $1,000 for sure. So this one was refurbished, and I haven't seen anything wrong with it so far. But it was more than $100 off being refurbished. But it's I've already shot it, and I've already basically got it sighted in, even though all I was shooting at was leaves on trees out there in the backyard at about 25 yards or so. And I'm putting holes through leaves now, so it's pretty accurate. That's the problem. The reason I didn't like my other air rifle, I went ahead and gave it to Trinian, who is super happy to have it, let me tell you. And it's a good air rifle. It's a Gammo Swarm, I think is what it's called. And it has a scope and everything. And it's a real nice air rifle. But the thing about the Gammo Swarm for me, well, it's a break-open barrel. So you just cock it open one time. It shoots about 900 feet per second. This shoots about 1,100 feet per second. So it's a little faster. But anyway, on the Gammo Swarm, it would shoot a nice group about like this, and then the next pellet would go off 6 inches away. Or maybe you'd shoot, 3 or 4 in a row, and they would just go in different places. And then it would tighten up, and you'd shoot a group like that. It just was inconsistent as heck. And it's got to be consistent for me to consider using it. You know me with my background in archery and in target shooting and very precise type shooting. So this fits that bill. And I know it's probably most of you think, well, that's really stupid to spend that much money. But I have a use for it here on the farm for different reasons. Not going to go into those because some people aren't going to like it. But mostly for, I don't mind telling you that I'll shoot rats with it and things like that. You can set up there in the barn in the evening and the rats will come out and you can just let them out with this. So anyway, and it has 2 pressures on this. Let me just show you. It's got a magazine. I don't have the magazine in it right now. Where did I do with it? Here it is. This magazine holds about 12 pellets, I think, something like that. And anyway, you can, all you have to do is just pull the lever back and push it forward, and you're ready to shoot your next pellet. By holding 4,000 pounds of pressure in here, you can shoot 150 pellets without having to recharge it, something like that. So it's like I said, it's kind of like the Cadillac. But anyway, I know most of you think, well, that's really stupid. I get it. If you're not into it, I get it. And, probably most of you think that was really stupid too. But honestly, this, to say it's life-changing, that's kind of stupid to say that. But it's almost life-changing for me. I'm not kidding you. It's so different. It's so different. If you've never used a knife with a high carbon steel blade, I'm telling you, get one, and you'll never use another stainless steel blade. Or let me rephrase that. You won't be happy with any other stainless steel blade. There's no comparison. Zero, none, not any comparison. It's day and night different. For 2 reasons. It's for sharpening and for holding the edge. Now, granted, this blade is more brittle. If you go prying on it, you break the blade off. It's not for prying. It's for cutting. And that's what I use a knife for, mostly for cutting. Every once in a while, I'll try to drive a screw with it or something, but you got to be careful with that on this type of blade. It'll break your blade if you're not careful. Let's go ahead and get into the comments because, like I said, I didn't have time to really prepare anything. I was actually hoping that Peter was going to be here again today, but he declined. He decided he didn't want to. And I think he's spending time with his wife. I think they're going out and doing a little bit of local sightseeing here, and which you can do that in about 5 minutes. Now, there's some large caves nearby that have cave tours and things, and those are kind of neat. Onondaga Cave and Merrimack Caverns and things. So people are some people that stay here go to those. And I think that's where they may be going, actually. Let's see. And then, of course, like I said, Randy Rogers will be here this afternoon, which is going to pretty much occupy my afternoon. Now, for tomorrow, conversely, hopefully you'll have some video, at least, if nothing more than introducing the instruments, if I don't show what I do to them. But I probably will show what I do to them. But I kind of plan to put out a separate video on that anyway, to release it on the channel. But you may see some duplication in some video on these instrument repairs. Okay, David Tharp was the first one in today. He says, hello all, I've got to leave early. Got a VA appointment at 1:30. Catch you on the flip side. By the way, I tried to grab the fog, but I missed. Ooh, that's almost deep right there. Let's see. Ronald Todd. Afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Banks of New Jersey. Wavy gravy. My wife wanted me to take her somewhere expensive for dinner, so I took her to the gas station. Yeah. And, you know, one of the things that gas stations are known for is sushi. You ought to get some sushi at the gas station. Let's see. David Tharp. Whenever my... It floors my mind that some gas stations have stuff like that, like fish. You know, it's like, are you kidding me? David Thorpe, whenever my wife sings in the house, I go outside and stand on the porch. That way the neighbors will know that I'm not hitting her. That reminds me of the story, and I've told this several times, so I know I've told it. It's not like I'm repeating myself like old age and don't remember that I've told you. But there's always new people, so there's a lot of people never hear these things. And Sue's mother was the old-time piano player, the up-and-down type of piano player, you know, kind of like you might have heard in an old Western saloon type of piano player, you know. Anyway, she played piano, and I thought she did pretty good. I mean, you know, it's maybe not Carnegie Hall, but pretty darn good job on the piano. And so I would encourage her to play it whenever I'd be over there when Sue and I were still dating, you know. And so she'd sit down and play it. And I'm not making this up. Every single person in the family, and she's got, you know, with 6 kids, including Sue, all of them, including her husband, would get in their cars and leave, or they would at least go outside. I mean, you know, or walk across the street to the neighbor's house. Anytime she started playing, they left. It was nuts. And I thought it was good, you know. It really was pretty good. They just are not into music. Just like Sue's not into music now. That's why you don't see her when I'm playing music. She just doesn't, they just not into it. I don't get it. I don't see how you could not be into music, at least to some degree. I mean, at least not hate it. You know, I think they actually, I don't know if they hate it, but they just don't enjoy it. It's weird. It's just really weird. Wavy gravy. A woman was on trial for beating her husband to death with the collection of guitars. The judge asked first offender. She replied, no, first a Gibson, then a Fender. I've actually heard that one somewhere before. Eric, I just got back from the worst bar I have ever seen. It's called the Fiddle. It is a vile inn. The worst bar I have ever seen. It's called the Fiddle. It is a vile inn. Violin. Okay. Took me a little while. Like I said, if there are word games that involve reading, it's stump the idiot. That's what you're doing. Let's see. Gino says it's another rainy day in Ohio. Jeff Purist. Let's see. Well, there's no comment or question marks there. Dotty's praying for everybody, and thank you very much. Simon Jardine, hi guys. Before I stick my question marks on my question for Jerry, wasn't there talk of him building a resonator guitar? Yeah, that's on my to-do list, Simon, but you know, it's way toward the bottom, so I got a lot of things to get caught up on first. You guys, I think Peter, I think he's kind of recognized how much I have to do here all the time, you know? And when you stop and think about it, back when I was working on instruments full time, I was working on instruments full time. I mean, like, I'd get up in the morning, I'd work on instruments, I'd quit, and I'd sit down and eat dinner, you know? I mean, that's kind of the way it was. I worked on them all day long. So everything around here got neglected, and for years that happened. And only if something really seriously broke, like the lawnmower, would I take time out to fix it. Only the serious things. So there's tons of stuff to get caught up on. I'm getting there, though. I'm actually kind of amazed at myself how much I have gotten done. But that water wheel house is still dragging me down. I've got to get back on that real soon. No point in trying to get on it this week because of these instruments that are going to need repairing. David Tharp, after we went live, Bill Momo was first, and then David Tharp says, here's one for you, Jerry. All together is written separately. Separately is written all together. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Never would have thought about that. I'm so glad you made me think about that. Bill Rhodes, good afternoon, Jerry. Thank you. Good afternoon to you. And Bill Webb says, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. Made it home safe and dry from Eureka Springs. Good. I'm assuming you were on your motorcycle. I pretty much figure you would be, but maybe not, but more than likely you were. Let's see. Simon Jardine, what's happening with the Dobro bill, Jerry? Well, I've already told you that now, so now you know. Ben Boyd, PCP air rifles are so accurate and powerful. Just need a scuba tank compressor if you don't already have one. Yeah, I just bought a regular PCP air rifle compressor, and it worked like a charm. And it had a really good rating, and it was one of the more economical ones. And it's not too loud, and it does it fast. I was amazed how fast it pumped this thing up. I was expecting to be there for 10 minutes, and it was just a couple of minutes. It had it up to the top. Very good. I'm really happy with what I have there. Let's see. Moving on down. Sidecar Bob. By the way, my daughter says she likes your neon red shirt. Well, thank you. I'm glad you do. Scott Roberts. By the way, my grandsons that are here, Trinian and Leighton, they're the one of them got me this shirt. And, it's kind of rating people kind of low there, as you might say. It says, absolute nightmare. Would not recommend. Well, I kind of sort of agree with that. At least at like places like the beach. Yeah, it's just not for me. Too many people. The Scott Roberts, the white scope on that air rifle looks like it should belong to a Star Wars stormtrooper. Yeah, it's kind of a silver scope. It looks kind of white, I guess, but it's actually silver colored, or I don't know, just kind of a brushed nickel or something. It does kind of look white in the camera though, on the screen here. Let's see. Then Don Nye says, yes, I like the neon stars on your pink shirt. I agree on the Dobro building. You guys are colorblind. Let's see. Ben Boyd, regarding booking the retreat and also paying you to reasonable mandolin work, would you consider replacing a wood bridge with antler reasonable? Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, something like that's fairly simple. What I'm not into is taking the top off or the back off if I don't have to do something like, I don't want to do anything that kind of drastic. Like the one that he's bringing, I think it has a loose bridge. Well, that's on the edge. I think a bridge repair is about as far as I want to go. I told him to go ahead and do it, but I don't really want to get deeper than something like a bridge repair. I can typically do a bridge repair overnight, so that's not too bad. But, if you have to take the instrument apart, you're talking 2 or 3 days worth of messing around, and I'm not into that at this point. Dottie says, Jerry, have you ever wrote a song for Sue? Yeah, I did sort of, kind of, but she doesn't really like it. Like I said, they don't really care for music. I'm trying to think of... Yeah, well, it's not really for her. It's actually a really sad song. It's about at the end of my life, you know, and it talks about her a lot. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to go into it. Bill Mumbo, Jerry, some people just don't get music. I don't think I could live without music. I play or listen to every day. Infected at a young age. My parents love music, radio all day. Yeah, well, I agree. It's just funny. I just found it really strange, especially, you know, when we were young. I was, you know, a teenager and over there, you know, and they'd all get up and leave. It's like, are you kidding me? What's up with this? They told me that they always leave whenever she's playing piano. And I go, oh, okay. Paul Lanier. South Louisiana grass grows thick and fast right now. That's the reason I've been missing the daily chats, but I watch at night. Well, I'm glad that at least you're watching, Paul, so thanks for telling me. And we'll miss you if you're not here. Gino Hitch, sometimes I can't get my phone to follow orders. It moved on me, but my cataract surgery was a wonderful thing. I can see so well now. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I really am. I mean, that's just incredible. That's just awesome. It really is. I mean, something like that is life-changing for real. It really is. Dottie Hildebrand, I heard that a air rifle can kill a hog. They do make them like that. This one, I doubt would. I mean, you could if you probably hit it exactly in the right spot, but probably not. I wouldn't shoot something like a big animal with this. It would be inhumane to do that, in my opinion. But they do make them. Like they make this same exact air rifle. I think they make it in like 30 caliber. This is a 22 caliber. But like in a 30 caliber, yeah, that knocked down a hog probably. That's pretty heavy bullets, you know. And they make them bigger than that. They make them in bigger calibers than that. Mostly I got mine for varmints, just small varmints here on the farm. Mostly like rats and mice and, you know, things like that. Probably a few non-native pain in the neck type birds too that just make messes in the barns and things too. So possibly that as well. Whether you like it or not, sorry if you don't. But you ought to live on a farm. You'd understand it wouldn't take you very long. Bill Mumble says he'd been playing guitar and bass since 73. Well, I mean, I guess I started playing a little bit before that, but I didn't really get serious till about 83. I mean, I could play 3 chords on a guitar when I was probably 12 or 13, you know, but barely, just barely. Scott Roberts, Jerry, stand up and let us see the rest of your purple shirt. Says, never mind, you just told us. Just wanted to see your girlish figure. Yeah, there you go. Well, anyway, that's what it looks like. And it's dirty. Well, it's not dirty, but it's dusty because I was down in the shop all morning cleaning the shop. Let's see. Paul Lyle, good morning, Jerry from Northern California. Keep on keeping on. Looking good. Well, thank you. Zappa says, Jerry, now you need a suppressor for your air rifle. They are legal. No papers needed. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have something to quiet it down. There's a certain amount of noise that comes out of these things when you shoot them. They're not as loud as like a regular 22 or anything like that. This is a 22 caliber. It's the same caliber as a 22 rifle, but they're not nearly that loud. But this thing, what's really cool about this, and I think I told you already, but just one more time, is that, in order to, put a bullet in, all you do is that's it. You pull the trigger and you just do that. it's really fast. So, and I don't know if Randy's not here yet, then I'm going to take it outside right now with the boys and do some target shooting until they get here. So it's going to be fun. And the boys are already really happy because I gave each one of them a pellet rifle, air rifle, and much to their mother's chagrin. But she said, they'll shoot each other, And I said, well, I've given them a good strict talk. And here's exactly what I said to him. I said, I'm going to tell you right now, if you ever use these things in an unsafe manner, if you point it at anybody and pull the trigger, if you shoot anybody with an air rifle or BB gun, I will personally drive to Ohio and I will beat your butt so hard you won't know whatever happened. And they know I'm serious. I don't make idle threats. So they know. Trust me, they know. And it's known in the family. I don't make idle threats. I pretty much do what I say I'll do. It's just the way it is, guys. Let's see. Bill Webb says, my papa Bradford would not carry a knife with a stainless steel blade. Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't even think I realized when they changed. But I don't know. I have a hunting knife that I made when I was about 18. I ought to show that to you. The blade is still almost that shiny, and I made it out of the same kind of steel. Actually, I made it out of a file. And files are not shiny, but you can polish them up, man. I mean, they get like a mirror. You would think you could polish stainless steel like that, and you probably can, but I haven't been able to. It probably takes a special polish or something. Let's see. Simon says he heard that air guns were considered for use for security on airlines and things. I hadn't heard that, but I guess you could. To me, it's just another tool. Some people just get all uptight about it and think it's a big deal. To me, it's a tool, just like that's a tool. It's just a tool. I also enjoy it. I mean, I like to shoot at targets and see how accurate I can be, and I think that's really cool. I like to do that, to see if I can put the pellet in the same hole, That's the kind of accuracy I like. Let's see. Hunter Miles says, what new toy did you get? I missed that part. Well, it is this gun here. It's, let me tell you the model. It's an Air Venturi is I think the brand, and the model is Avenge X. Avenge X. Air Venturi Avenge X. And they make a lot of, that company makes a lot of different models. And, this just was the one that was in my price range. I didn't want to spend over $1,000 on one. I mean, $699 is a lot of money, but it's a lot cheaper than the average one of these things. But this one, I'm super happy with it. For the money, I think I got a good deal on a great rifle. At least that's the way it seems right now. It was really easy to get it sighted in with that scope. I just put the scope on it literally minutes before we went live, and I sighted it in and I used pretty much one full of these, about 12 bullets, I think, to get it sighted in, or 12 pellets. Benita says, have to brag on my granddaughter that just got back from the world shooting competition in Czech Republic. She represented the USA in PCC optics, finished sixth lady overall. Very cool. That's really awesome. I think if I had things to do over again, I'd have done things differently, and I'd have been in the Olympics and all that stuff for sure. I missed the Olympics by about that much, but that was mainly because that stupid coach made me jump on that dang trampoline. Oh, If I knew then what I know now, I would have sued the school district. I was so mad. I can't even tell you how mad. I'm still aggravated about it because it would just screwed up a huge opportunity. Ronald Todd, thumbs up, everybody. Simon Jardine, sorry, Daddy, I'm okay. Sorry, moving on down. See, Scott Roberts says, can't see the dust on your shirt from my house. However, there's dust on my saddle, blood on my boots. Do you know that song? I've heard similar words to a song, but I don't know if that's what I've heard or not. Daddy Hillbrandt, Simon Wood, that just makes someone mad being shot with an air rifle. Well, not if you had the right air rifle. It'd pretty much mess up your whole day. I mean, this one here is probably powerful enough to mess up your whole day. It probably is. It has 2 power settings. You can put it on low or high, and even on low, it's pretty powerful. But on high, I wouldn't want to shoot anybody with it. I'd just be a bad day. Simon or Scott Roberts, 100 miles, just rewind and watch it again. Oh, okay. Talking about the missing what the toy was. Down the hill, Brand, what caliber is that rifle? It's a .22 caliber. So it is the same caliber in terms of bullet size as a .22 rifle. Now, there's not as much lead in the .22 caliber pellets as there is in a .22 caliber rifle. The same diameter, but there's more lead in a .22 caliber rifle than there is in this .22 caliber air rifle. So therefore, the bullet hits a lot harder, and it's coming out faster too. On a .22 long rifle, for instance, it's coming out faster. This is coming out at 1,100 feet per second, which is pretty doggone fast. But it's not it's not the same power as a .22 long rifle. Ronald Todd, I got my first guitar in '66, but started in '65, still trying and learning at 72. Well, I bought my Gibson Jubilee in 1968-ish, or maybe 69. I'm not sure. It was one of those 2 years, I think, when I bought mine. Took my own money that I got from showing horses mostly, and working for my dad too. And, anyway, I paid for it with my own money. It was like $200 or something. And man, that seemed like $3,000 today to me. I mean, back then it seemed like a lot of money to pay for a guitar. And my mom and dad weren't real happy about it either. But I did it anyway. Now I could sell that same guitar probably get at least $1,500, if not $2,500 for it. Let's see. Happy Mike TV there's no question marks, but he's asking a question. He says, what got you into working on instruments? Love your videos. Been collecting older Yamahas, and they all need more work than I anticipated. Learning lots from you. Well, thank you very much. What got me into working on instruments? I've told this story several times too, but it's just the black and white truth. My uncle Don, when I first started learning to play a mandolin, he said, son, just get you, there ain't no good mandolins out there. Now, remember, this was back in the early 80s. And he was saying, there ain't no good mandolins out there. I played them all. Ain't none of them any good. Just get you a good Lloyd lower mandolin and be done with it. That's what he said. So back then, it wasn't quite as hard to come by one as it is now. But anyway, and if I knew then what I know now, I would have bought every one of them I could have found. But, you don't know what you don't know till you don't know it. Anyway, I know it's supposed to be till you know it, but I say it the other way. Anyway, so I started calling around. I called George Gruen himself, talked to him on the phone. down in Nashville. He says, just so happen I have one. He says, it was made on November 28th, 1924. I said, you got to be kidding me. November 28th? He goes, yeah. I said, that's my birthday. I said, that's my mandolin. How much do you want for it? At that time, they were, according to my uncle and according to other people, $6,000 to $8,000. That's what they normally were. Well, he wouldn't price it over the phone. He says, I don't price instruments over the phone. You'll have to come here to look at it. Okay. So I got in the car, drove all the way to Nashville. A long drive. And when I got there, it was a nice Lloyd Loar mandolin. It was a nice one. It was a good one. And, of course, at that time, I wasn't quite the expert on instruments that I feel like I am now, but it's still, I'm pretty sure it was a good one. And so with that birth date in there, 1924, and I was born November 28, 1954, so 30 years to the day, I thought, that is my mandolin. I got to take it home. He wanted $12,500 for it. Well, in the early 80s, I didn't really have $6,000 to $8,000 to spend on it, but I was going to do it. But I didn't have that kind of money. So $12,000 was just out of the question. I mean, $8,000 was stretching me so thin it was ridiculous. If it would have been $8,000, you know. And I was hoping I could talk him down a little bit from that, you know, but no, not a chance. So on the way back home, asking me how come I started building this or working on instruments. Well, on the way back home, I was pouting all the way, just basically crying all the way home. I mean, I was just so upset that I couldn't bring that instrument home. I decided I'm going to learn how to build them and I'm going to build my own. So I tell my uncle that I'm going to build my own. He just laughed at me. He says, son, I've played all these handmade mandolins around. They ain't none of them any good. Just get you a Lloyd Loar. Okay. So I kept looking, but meanwhile, I found a book. It was sold by Stuart McDonald, I think. Maybe I got this one before Stuart McDonald started selling them. I can't remember. But anyway, I got the book on, now I can't think of the guy's name. Anyway, the guy that made copies of Siminoff, Roger Siminoff, he made copies of the Lloyd Loar, you know, and he published a book on it. And so I bought that book. And I was in a van pool at the time, and I read it cover to cover 8 times. And I'm not exaggerating about that. I read it cover to cover 8 times. And the reason I did that was because it was kind of complicated. And I wanted to thoroughly understand it. And you know me and my reading problems, so reading it 8 times was just about how many times I needed to read it. And so anyway, I read it cover to cover 8 times. And then I went out and bought my wood and started building, and I was absolutely obsessed with it. I mean, like obsessed like you ain't never seen anybody obsessed. I mean, at the moment I would get home from work, I would start working on it. I'd work till midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd get up at 6 and go back to work. And I would even sometimes carry parts with me to work and maybe work on them at lunchtime or at least look at them. You know what I mean? And so anyway, long story short, I built the first one. It took me about 1 calendar month to get it finished. One fun fact on it is I broke 18 different pieces of wood to bend 1 set of sides. I broke that many. Now back then, I didn't have a way to make those sides easily. I was hand planing every piece of wood and, you know, and then bending them and then breaking them and broke 18 pieces. Yeah, that was not fun. It took me like 3 days to make 1 set of sides. Now I can make a set of sides in under an hour. You know, I mean, I really can. So, you know, you learn how to do stuff. But that's why I learned to start working on them. And then, you know, because I just couldn't afford to buy what I wanted to buy. Now, years later, and it was several years later, my uncle said to me, he said, son, I want to tell you something. He says, I've told you before, I don't think there's anything out there but a Lloyd Loar. But he says, if I didn't own my Lloyd Loar, I'd have one of your mandolins. He just told me that. So he was very proud of it, I think. But anyway, it was, so then after people would see me playing the mandolin out, well then, and I'd tell them, where'd you get that? I've never seen one like that. I'd say, I made it. And, well, then they'd say, well, could you fix this? This broke on here. Could you, instantly I was besieged with stuff because I was out all the time playing, and just bringing instruments home all the time. I mean, one time I was at a festival at, Jeff City. It was an indoor winter festival at a hotel. It was an indoor deal. And I brought home, I think it was 9 instruments that day. 9 instruments with me. Like I think it was 6 or 7 guitars, a couple of mandolins, and well, actually there were 2 upright bass fiddles. I brought 2 upright bass fiddles and a bunch of other instruments. It might have been more than 9. It might have been 11. I don't know. But anyway, it was full van load of instruments. So it just snowballed like that. And then, of course, once I put it on YouTube, it really snowballed. But that's how it happened. That's the reason that I started working on them. Now we probably got so many comments here to catch up on. Let's see. What's your take on resetting necks on older 60, 70 Yamaha guitars? Well, Yamahas, if I remember correctly, they're on with epoxy. And I'd just soon be shot in the face with this air rifle as to have to do that on one of those. So that would give you some idea that I don't like them too much for neck resets. If I was going to do a neck reset on one of those, and if it's practical, possible on that particular model, and sometimes it's just not, I would probably loosen the back and do what I call my cheater neck reset. And I would just bend the neck down, glue it in place, and call it good. Because I wouldn't try to take one of them apart. Again, I've taken them apart. I've been successful doing that, but it ain't no fun. Ola Søren Hansen says, is Cash coming tomorrow? As far as I know, yeah, and the girl is also coming too. There's Randy Rogers. Be there in about 20 minutes, he says. Okay. Let's see. Zappa, brand new, that rifle is $800. Yeah, it probably is around that. I think I got about 100 off or something like that. Let's see. G&P Old Marine Shop. Hi, Jerry. That new Willie Nelson song is great. It's beautiful world. Maybe you could learn simple, I think. It's a beautiful world. Is that a new one? It seemed like I remember that from a long time ago. Anyway, Bill Mumbo says, Jerry, M. Gibson acoustic is from 68. Or his acoustic. Yeah, mine's roughly that time frame. I just don't remember the exact year. Dottie, Jerry, you bought a guitar instead of a mandolin. Well, in the early days, yes. That was before I really started playing music. Once I really started playing music, I went to the mandolin. Well, actually, I went to fiddle first. I actually wanted to play fiddle like my grandpa, and then after I spent like 6 months trying to learn to play fiddle, and I mean, when I say trying to learn, I don't mean like I spent a minute here and a minute there. I meant like I practiced it 2 or 3 hours every evening. Yeah, I got totally obsessed with that. Well, then I decided I'm not a fiddle player, so I switched to mandolin, and it came fairly quickly because I had spent so much time trying to learn the fiddle. So mandolin was a lot easier for me to learn once I spent that much time on the fiddle. Let's see, G&P. But in those early days, I was just a kid, and a guitar seemed cool, G&P Old Marine Shop. Me being Italian descent, my dad wanted me to play accordion. Didn't work. Guitar overruled. Yep. Simon is trying to club. There's loads of free lessons on YouTube. Okay. Scott Roberts, long story short, nice try, Jerry, but we enjoyed the story anyway. 100 Miles, what have you learned from making instruments over the years? I don't know. I think the things that I think I've learned are what acoustically, what works acoustically and what doesn't. What gets too harsh, what's too, maybe even too mellow, but mostly what works together to make a decent sound. That's probably what I've learned the most. And can I explain that? Not exactly, because there's so many possible combinations. But, like for instance, some people say you should use, aluminum for a saddle. Well, that's just a hair too hard. That's, in my opinion, it's just a hair too harsh. I know people do it. I know people use brass, and they swear it's wonderful. But in my opinion, it's too harsh. It's too metallic sounding in my mind. If you got a real woody instrument, you can pull it off a little bit, but it's still too brash. It's just too much. So like the deer antler and bone and deer antler, to get either one interchangeably pretty much is fine. But once you go harder than that, it's pretty hard to find anything that doesn't sound too harsh. Let's see. April is released, I believe. April just released, I believe. Oh, okay, on that Willie Nelson thing. Pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like I remember him doing something like A Beautiful World, but I'm probably thinking of something else. GMP Old Marine Shop, sound like a song you already heard, but nice. Wavy Gravy, I just don't understand why I keep getting skipped. Where did you get skipped? I read one or two of your comments earlier. I don't see any comments by you for a long time here. Not all the way back up to... I don't see any Wavy Gravy. Way back. I know I read a couple, but they were way up high. So if you're getting skipped, it ain't me skipping you. It's YouTube skipping you. I don't see any. I don't see a single Wavy Gravy on there now. Just the one that you just posted, why you got skipped. Sorry, they're just not there. Not me. Anyway, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thanks for being here. I will hopefully have some video for you tomorrow. Thanks, and we'll see you then.